The Player, Episode 5, The Big Blind. Definitely love this episode. Of course, the action, always very entertaining. That in-fight scene was definitely pretty cool. I love the time-lapse picture thing he did to like blind the guy with the night vision goggles. But this episode really dived into the fact that Jenny is alive. There was some weird stuff going on with her, beforehand, and then some really weird stuff going on the night that she died. And all the cameras shut off. We get some stuff from like a woman who was married to a mob boss who had tons of fear in her life, knew that Jenny had the same fear. I don't know what that means. So we have that. We have the cameras going off at the end. We have whatever the pit boss who finally I remember names. Cassandra is the dealer, and Mr. Johnson is the pit boss. I don't think they've ever actually said his name except for like once or twice. But Cassandra's name they say all the time. I just never remember it, so I made sure that I focused this time. But it was just crazy. Like they put a lot of focus on it. Maybe that was her at the end. Maybe that really was her. Maybe it wasn't. It most likely was. I think whenever they do it in the TV show, it's like it was totally her. Although, I mean, I don't know because it had to have been her because no one said anything about how he got home at all. He didn't ask any questions either, really. But it seemed like he was just at his house and that was kind of it. He was just home. So I'm pretty sure that was actually her because they didn't say anything. Like, I'm still going to call him the pit boss because I just prefer that name. He didn't say anything. He was just, the whole episode was just like, oh, I'm not going to talk about, helping your wife like this and that. And that's pretty much it. But they really kind of jumped into that in this episode. And we find out a little bit about, like, a certain story with Jenny and the woman who was the, my boss's wife and stuff, and how she, the woman promised Jenny, like, I'm gonna leave for sure, I'm gonna leave this guy, don't tell anybody, and she never did. And we also get a flashback after Alex gets shot of when he was actually saved by Jenny and, how they first met and stuff like that. So that was kind of cool. They definitely touched on it. We still don't know the connection between Cassandra and Jenny. Like, I'm assuming that they were both, based on that one picture that we saw, they were probably both helping soldiers during the war. Like that's just how it seemed like. It seemed like they were kind of in sort of a heated location, not exactly desert location, but sort of a heated battlefield location, and that's how they knew each other. But we still don't know exactly what the relationship was. It could have been that simple. That's it. They just knew each other, and it's like, oh, she was an old friend, and we just hadn't really been in touch in a long time, or maybe they had, because we don't really know, but I'm assuming they hadn't because she was looking up the information too at the end of the episode with the cameras just, randomly shutting down. So I'm assuming they hadn't been in touch for quite some time, but she still definitely remembered her from their time working together. So they definitely hit up a lot on the Jenny stuff in this episode, and her being alive somewhere, being a part of this insanely huge mystery, all these cameras shutting down, the fear of something, I don't know, like some sort of crazy secret agent type stuff. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure that out. But I like the mystery. It definitely keeps my attention as like the big arc story outside of just all the craziness that happens in this episode. In every episode, always just crazy firefights and hand-to-hand combat. Always really fun to watch. Did not disappoint this episode either. Things start off fairly simple, and I think we all knew the car was gonna blow up. It was like, okay, the car didn't blow up, so the house is gonna blow up, and then the car blows up because it was on like a weird delay, and it was like, okay, so the car blew up. Initially, when that happened, when it was on a delay, I was like, okay, it was on a delay because they wanted to kill both people. They wanted it to be like, all right, they're both in the car, they're driving down the street, boom, it blows up. Then we find out that it was the wife that put out a hit on the husband because he was beating her and stuff, and she wanted to escape because she's now pregnant again, and she doesn't want him to know anything about that, and she wants to, be rid of him and live her life and have her child. So it was just a crazy, like, just bounty after bounty sort of thing. And I kind of like that idea. Like, it started off really simple. It was like one guy was hired to kill him, and then he hired like 5 people to kill her, and it just got insane. They even killed the other bounty hunter, and then Alex. That was a weird house too. Like, I don't know why the guy was in like this big empty room with just like an air mattress. I found that very weird. But he goes in the house. He finds the guy dead. They pulled off like 4 of his fingernails, which is just always the worst. And so he has to deal with that guy. Then he has to deal with a bunch of other people, and then the scene that he has after he figures everything out and he goes to the woman and he's like, all right, I'm going to get you out of here because your husband knows that you put the hit out on him. And then the cop shows up. It's like, okay. He gives her over to his buddy. He goes in. They have this crazy firefight. And I swear, there was like 36 shots fired and nobody was hit. The only thing that got destroyed during that whole little shootout scene was oxygen. Like, that was it. The ozone layer was getting destroyed. Everybody else in that was completely safe. It was like nobody moved positions. Everyone was just like this, shooting over a car, constantly pulling the trigger. And I just thought that was a really funny scene because I'm like, nobody's moving, nobody's hitting anything. Even the cars didn't seem to get hit. There was nothing like people duck and they have like the little squibs go off on the cars and stuff like that, and you see sparks flying. Nothing. It was just like guns going off. Like, they might as well have just been like jumping around like cowboys shooting in the air because nothing happened. And it was funny. I still enjoyed the scene, but I definitely noticed that it was just funny. Like, everyone was in one position, and it basically just went assassin, Alex, cop buddy, whose name of course I can't remember, and it just went 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that was it until the end of the scene and the cops showed up. Nobody got hit or anything. Like, after the motorcycle crash, it was like, alright, we need to kind of relax, and budget's been dropped because of a giant explosion. Everyone stay in one position and just pull the trigger. Boom, 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 and that was the whole thing. So, that really caught my attention. It was really funny to me. But I still like that scene. And him, I thought for sure he was just going to hit the motorcycle. And then, when the guy like jumps out of the way, I didn't expect the motorcycle to hit the car and just completely blow up. So I was like, oh, he died. He's dead now. So that really surprised me. I didn't expect the motorcycle to just full on explode. But I did like the shootout scene. Like I said, I definitely enjoyed the ending scene where Alex has no weapon. He gives the woman the weapon, which apparently he gave her a gun that had 2 bullets in it. Because when the other guy came through the window and she shot at him, she pulled the trigger twice, and unfortunately she missed. And it was like, he gave her a gun with 2 bullets in it. I know that wasn't exactly his choice, but I was like, holy crap, she had 2 bullets and she missed. And now he has to run in there and really save her because she's screwed now. But I like the ending fight scene when like the time lapse thing. Like I said, he really messed that guy up. I mean, he also set a dude on fire, so I guess he messed that guy worse. And then knocked him over, and he fell who knows how many flights down the stairs. But the first guy, like, he just has like the plastic wrapping. He gets it around. I kind of like the way he did it because he did it in a very interesting way where when he did the twist, he basically just went under and spun it so that he could undo his hands without letting go. I thought that was just kind of cool. But he like just messed that guy up. Was like, all right, tie you around the neck, twist here, twist there, and just took him down. And then that guy didn't have a gun, so he still had like the blowtorch thing and all of the paint thinner. I believe it was paint thinner. So then he sets the second guy on fire and knocks him over the balcony. And he's just a giant flaming ball of human falling down all these flights of stairs. And then he finally gets a gun from the third guy who he has to deal with. And then he gets shot by the last dude. And that guy was really fast because he told him to freeze. And he turned and he got a really quick shot in there before Alex, his reflexes kind of kicked in and he took the guy down. But it was a good action scene, for sure. I like the ending fight scene. I don't know where they ran to. I know they were at like an abandoned or get a remodeled hotel. I do understand that. But it was like they were just out in a random field at the end when he was chasing them. And I just thought that was kind of funny. Like they literally just like came out of smoke. You couldn't even see the background. And it was just smoke. And I was like, where the heck did he run from? Like, was that really that close to that hotel? But TV magic, you can run wherever you want. So I like that scene, and like I said, I liked all the stuff with Jenny, and how they're really kind of throwing it in our face, like she's alive officially, and then it just gets even weirder because initially, well, I figured she had to have been involved in it from the start. I didn't think that it was like she was oddly kidnapped for some reason. I knew from the beginning, like, if she's not dead, then it has to be something that she's involved in. Like, she knew that this was happening. Maybe she was involved with the guy that, killed her or something. And I'm still a little convinced that he's not actually dead. Like, he might be, but I don't know. He might not be. Granted, they did order the actual kill order on him, and they weren't involved with that. They just kind of airstrike, boom. So he could actually be dead, but I don't know. It was really weird, and I feel like if he's still alive, that is cool because, and I mentioned this in the first episode. I thought for sure he was gonna be like Alex's rival, and that was gonna be like the drive. Like, this is the guy that I have to kill. So I'm gonna use my, stay with the game and use those resources and kind of build him up so that I can get to this guy. So if he is still alive, they could totally bring back that concept where he is Alex's rival, and he's the only one, or not the only one, but he's like the main guy, the only one that we know of that can truly get Alex some answers. So I'm looking forward to whatever happens there. Love the case in this episode. Love the stuff with Jenny and how they played around with that. We also got to see Cassandra's home life again and how she may or may not have a boyfriend anymore. Very minor stuff. We also learned a little bit about the pit boss and his life in Chicago and how the one guy saved his life twice, and so that's kind of how he got the mob boss thrown in jail because they hate each other. So he kind of threw his friend a bone a little bit so that he could kill off someone he wanted to before he died. And the really cool thing about this case, and this whole episode was like, this was supposed to be like a day off, and it's like, oh, there's not going to be a game today. And then the whole mission takes place, but Alex knew the people. Like, it started off, he went to the house before the game had even started because he knew those people. And it was like, alright, he's gonna, he went in and was like, security, like, do this, do that. And it was just like the first episode, and I was like, that's actually really cool, where he's involved, he actually knows the people still personally. It wasn't like with the military guy where he used to know him. It's like he still knew, and he was doing like his other job where he was just a security consultant. And I thought that's actually really cool to see him do that, and then he gets pulled into the game afterwards because initially it was just like his other job, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna help you do this, and we'll figure this stuff out. And then it evolves into the game, and it evolves in the last scene as well because he found out like, there's no way those guys would have known where we were in that hotel. And that's what I was thinking too when they first showed up. I'm like, how did? I was like, they had to have tracked them, but there was nobody there. It was just the two of them. So I was trying to figure that out too when it first happened. I was like, how did they get there? And then we kind of get our full answer was that the pit boss gave them the answer. Like, this is where they are. He did also give the cops the info to bust the mob boss, which was very nice of him. But he did almost get Alex and this woman and her child killed because of the game and the stakes and just people wanting to play. So that was pretty interesting. We saw some very weird stuff this time. We saw the pit boss as a resource, which even Alex asked, like, is that is that allowed? And the rules are pretty simple. The resources of the house, which do include both the dealer and the pit boss, are at the player's disposal. So we get to see that, which was very interesting. And they did some stuff that was pretty different this episode. It wasn't just another case. It was like a very, very personal case where it just started off as, oh, he's going in, he investigates the stuff. He was, he was talking with his cop buddy and everything. He saw the wires in the car. It was just like, oh, hey, you should check this out. And talking to them like, all right, check these cameras and do this and do that. So it was kind of cool to see how that kind of played up and just some of the things that they changed because this was supposed to just be a normal day, and it evolved into a game because Alex knew these people. So I like this episode. I like how they changed up. It was a minor change, but it just felt very different, even though it was such a minor thing. Like, oh, well, he went to the people before the mission started, and then he just went back to them after the game had taken place. But it was pretty cool. And then we had like the twisted, in the middle there where she was the one who wanted to kill the husband, and then he just hired everybody to kill her off. So there's a nice little twist there. The info about Jenny, some of the flashbacks. them just saying she is alive, and her most likely, like I said, most likely having actually been her that saved Alex at the end after he was shot. All of it really well done. I'm looking forward to the next episode. I feel like they might go back to some of the contents of the um, mini memory card, the little drive, fairly soon. It might not be the very next episode, but I feel like they're gonna go back to that pretty soon and give us something. I don't know. They gave us like a little hint with the whole fear thing and stuff, and she's on the run from something or someone, some organization, maybe, who knows. But she knew something was happening, and she got out of there in time and covered her bases. So I don't know what's happening there, but definitely drawn in by that story. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite part, your least favorite parts, and with all the stuff they did with Jenny, I just have to ask you guys, what do you think happened? I'm pretty sure I asked that in like episode 2 when they kind of mentioned that she was alive, but they kind of threw it at us in this episode, so I have to ask again, like, what is going on with her? Like, what did, who does she fear? Was it a person, an organization? I feel like it has to be an organization because all the cameras shut off and stuff, so she definitely, she was killed. Then, after Alex left the house, I don't know, was it a dead body? I mean, I guess he technically did go back to the house in the first episode, and he hadn't seen her body after he took off from the house until the hospital scene or the morgue scene, I guess. But I don't know. Like, it's the mystery of the show, of course. But I want to know your speculations, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.